Long days in front of a screen can dull the mind, leaving us feeling sluggish and uninspired. Our gaze becomes fixated, almost zombie-like, on our computer or phone, and we risk falling into a dull state of mind where we experience boredom, lack of creativity, and diminished motivation. Rightly thinking we need a break, we may turn to the habit of scrolling on our devices, which only amplifies the sense of being checked out, or even more problematic, can increase anxiety as we take in the feed of emotionally charged headlines. Turning back to work, we can feel an increase in overwhelm and diminished capacity of effectiveness. So much for a break. However, research shows that taking breaks mindfully can have powerful effects on our concentration, stress, and fatigue. Think of it this way. When there are multiple tabs open on our computer, it becomes sluggish and doesn't perform as well. Similarly, when we are overwhelmed and tracking an ever-increasing to-do list, our brain doesn't perform as well. Turning off and rebooting the computer works wonders. The same is true for turning off and rebooting our brain and mind. Even though some analogies of the brain being like a computer work well, there are important ways it is different. The brain thrives in novelty and rich sensory stimuli. When we are stationary in front of our screens all day and haven't had a change of environment, which is especially a risk when working from home, our brain can go into idle mode. Instead of scrolling the virtual world for stimulation, taking a midday mental break and feeding the brain some sensory novelty can do wonders for brightening the mind, increasing a sense of engagement, stimulating curiosity, and ultimately enhancing effectiveness when we do return to work. Shifting attention from the screen to a view out a window for a few minutes, taking a walk in the fresh air, or even standing up and doing some stretches are ways to give our minds and bodies a break. If we intentionally focus attention on something we find beautiful, there's an added bonus of the heart being affected in positive ways. This can give us an emotional break from anxiety and overwhelm. The presence of beauty is uplifting and inspiring. It opens the mind, touches the heart, and nourishes motivation and a sense of vitality. Taking a midday sensory break takes us out of the virtual world and connects us to our aliveness. We can return to our work refreshed, invigorated, and with a brighter, more creative mind. Let's give it a try. This is a great practice to do walking outside, but you can also do it seated or standing wherever you are. If you're at your computer, I suggest you turn the screen off and push yourself away to give yourself a little more space. Please keep your eyes open for this practice, especially if you're walking. So let's begin by taking a few really deep breaths, inhaling deeply through the nose and exhaling fully through the mouth. Inhaling deeply while lifting up through the spine, and exhaling deeply, softening down the front of the body. If you like, you can even allow the sound of a sigh to release with the out-breath. Noticing already how deep breathing awakens the body and can revitalize and brighten the mind. So let your breath resume its natural rhythm. With each out-breath, imagining that any sense of tiredness or heaviness is leaving the body. And with each in-breath, imagining that you're breathing in brightness, enthusiasm, and energy. You can imagine your mind is like a drooping flower coming back to alertness as it's placed in a vase of cool water. Or you may sense that your mind is like a pillow being fluffed back into shape. Breathing in this sense of energy and vitality. And breathing out and releasing any sense of sluggishness or heaviness. Continuing with brightening the mind, go ahead and take a look around you. What do you notice that interests you? Something maybe you're curious about. It could be something you've seen on your desk 100 times before. But what is it like to see this object as if for the first time? Noticing its color, shape, the way it reflects light. Taking a look around, noticing, is there something in your environment that is beautiful? Like a beam of sunlight, or maybe it's a piece of art, or a photograph of someone or something that brings happiness. What can you see around you right now that delights you? And what's it like to feel the happiness or pleasure this evokes? If you're indoors, are you able to look outside? Perhaps out a window, or even opening a door. And is there something outside in nature that catches your eye? Maybe it's the shape of a tree, the movement of leaves in the wind, or the color of the sky. Whatever you notice, let yourself take a pause and breathe with this just for a few moments. Again, feeling yourself fill up with energy and aliveness. You might even sense the presence of joy and well-being as you take in something from nature that brings you delight. Refreshing, revitalizing the mind. If you get lost in thoughts, simply come back and reestablish awareness through the senses. Take a breath and notice what is coming in through your eyes, your ears, your nose, and your skin. And if you're willing, let yourself play a little bit and explore, discovering the sights, sounds, and textures around you. Is there anything you'd like to touch or to smell? Cultivating the quality of beginner's mind. Maybe there's something that you can bring a fresh attention to that has been under your nose this whole time. So letting yourself discover the 3D world around you. Re-engaging the senses, bringing curiosity, maybe even feeling a touch of childlike wonder, seeing things anew. And go ahead and come back to the breath, taking a few extra deep inhalations, exhalations. If you have the time and you want to pause this recording and spend a lot more time playing and exploring, please go ahead. When you're ready to come back to work, feeling again the aliveness you're bringing back through your body, the brightening in the mind, and you can sit back down in your chair, turn on your computer, and re-engage with your work with a mind refreshed and reinvigorated. You can do this practice for a few minutes, hitting refresh on the mind by simply pausing in your work and gazing out the window at random times, taking in the world through your senses. You can also set up a cue, such as every time you hit save or send on your computer, you can do a micro practice of taking a breath, stretching, looking around the room, and challenging yourself to notice one new thing. Or if you're able to have a longer break, I invite you to take a walk outside, exploring the sensory world with curiosity, noticing and feeling what brings you alive. Returning to work with a refreshed and invigorated mind. Thank you for your practice.